Hello my little teddy bears. After almost a year of being MIA, I am back. I hope everyone enjoyed the holidays and is doing well. I plan on posting more this coming year, so don't worry. More content is coming soon. But anyway, now that that's out of the way, this video will be discussing the morality of Lelouch v Britannia. With further ado, let's get into it. At the start of the show, we see that Japan is under attack. Planes from the sky dropping down, destroying Japan's defenses. Then we get a scene of young Lelouch promising his friend, Suzaku, he will obliterate Britannia. 7 years later, and Japan has officially been taken under Britannian rule. The word Japanese being denounced by the settlers, the culture being stripped away from the native people, and Japanese identity as a whole being rebranded as a number. They rename the colony Area 11, referring to the Japanese people as 11s. We see that Japan has been split into two, the Tokyo settlement, where Britannian settlers reside, appearing to be a nicer, upper-class city with advanced technology and beautiful architecture. And the other part, the ghettos, more specifically, Shinjuku Ghetto, where the Japanese reside. The city is trashed, with crumbling buildings, and ruined streets, the city being a shell of what it used to be. There are other ghettos with just as lamentable living conditions, the Tokyo settlement being the main utopia for the Britannians. Lelouch, being the former Prince of Britannia, as stated before, plans to destroy Britannia to seek vengeance on the royal family for the death of his mother. As I got more familiar with Lelouch's character, I saw him as more of a heroine, so to speak. While he spoke mainly of his own goals, I was under the impression he had the Japanese people's best interest at heart. You know, since Suzaku, his best friend, is Japanese, you'd think he'd be one of the main reasons he'd fight. But I was sorely mistaken. After failing his mission to capture Cornelia and nearly being caught, he realizes he can't accomplish his goal alone, so he forms the Black Knights, convincing them to not only take back Japan, but destroy Britannia. Colin and the others are clearly confused, as they'd never dream of taking in Britannia head-on, considering they're barely defending their homeland. He makes a blatant comparison to the Tokyo settlement and the Shinjuku Ghetto. Ogi understandably tells him they're aware, which is why they fight so hard. This scene is one of the many examples of how oblivious he can be. His worldview still differs, even though the story does portray him as oppressed as well, he's still Britannian, which automatically makes him more respectable to most. He isn't Japanese, so he doesn't understand their position, nor does he seem to care all that much. Either way, his words sway only Ogi and Colin into joining his team, while the rest of Colin's group stays back, not trusting Zero. While Zero and the others work to retrieve Suzaku, who is said to be executed after being falsely accused of murdering Prince Clovis, Lelouch's plan succeeds, thereby convincing the rest of Colin's group to join Zero. He begins to lecture Suzaku on rotten the Britannian Empire is, but it doesn't convince Suzaku to give up being a soldier because in his mind the system can be changed from within without casualties. Lelouch opposes this view, of course, believing there's no saving Britannia as a nation and it must be annihilated. Later on in the series he succeeds in forming the Black Knights, announcing to the world they exist to serve justice, serving the people, specifically Japanese. Zero makes it clear he's repulsed by the way the Japanese are treated, putting his life on the line just to free Japan. But the question is, what does Lelouch think of all this? After all, they're the same person, so wouldn't their ideologies be interchangeable? Well, in this case, no. In fact, in some ways, they're the complete opposite. His attitude sets the tone for what will later come. After a chess match with a nobleman, his friend, Revel, praises him for his intelligence and ability. He remarks that noblemen are inferior compared to him, and questions whether an 11, aka, a Japanese person could beat one, saying, and I quote, "They're nothing like us Britannians." Which shows us the work of the indoctrination of the youth in this world. Lelouch's response to this, nothing, he says nothing, showing even though he may have opposing views, he's compliant with his friend saying such ignorant things. He's outright said himself in episode 7 after watching a Japanese street vendor be hate crime that it was his fault for being a quote-unquote slave to Britannia, again showing his privilege. The man clearly knows that working in the settlement is more profitable than staying in the ghetto. He's thinking about his livelihood even if he's being discriminated against to an extent. He's speaking from the other side, it's not his lived experience, so it's easier to talk down on this man than empathize. He then goes on a rant about how Area 11 is economically and militarily better than Japan ever was, and the Japanese can just become honorary citizens. He says it so casually, that you'd think he'd agree with the colonization of the damn country. He clearly doesn't, but still doesn't see the gravity of their situation, but he sure as hell views it as a weakness in them that he can exploit. This shows many times in Season 1 where he outright admits to C2 he's purposely catering to the Japanese in order to garner support and assistance. Even C2 calls out how abhorrent this mindset is. Throughout Season 1, he's depicted as being somewhat cold-hearted. Before the Battle of Narita, it's prominent. He tells Kirihara he's embarking on the path of blood, and doesn't care what it'll take to achieve his goal. The Battle of Narita is where this hubris attitude goes out the window though. Everyone is reluctant due to the casualties that are most likely to come, but he ends up, once again, convincing the others to fight by his side to the end. Unfortunately, Suzaku and his Lancelot end up showing up. He, yet again, fails to capture Cornelia, forcing his retreat. He isn't too upset over it as they made more headway than they did last time. That day he was supposed to have a date with Shirley at the opera house, and we later find out that her father was killed from the rubble falling into the city, an attack he ordered. He stands there shocked as Shirley cries into his arms, questioning what Zero really stands for. C2 later mocks him for being so naive, telling him that war isn't a game, and casualties are to be expected. His morals go into question, and it tells me he never cared until it affected someone close to him. So far he's depicted as a selfish hero type, one who wishes to bring change, but is also willing to sacrifice lives and manipulate others to achieve his goals. While he's not entirely selfish, he clearly doesn't care for the Japanese as much as the fandom makes it seem. In a way they were just pawns. And I'd go as far to say if it wasn't for his mother's death and sister's disabilities, he wouldn't give a damn about Japan as a whole. His attitude towards them in civilian life is neutral at best. Which comes as a surprise given the fact that Suzaku, his best friend, is Japanese. He only then starts to feel something when he witnesses how poorly Suzaku is being treated at school. Again, with the selective empathy. That begins another discussion, his relationship with Suzaku. Their dynamic is one of the best in the show. Friends turned enemies, their opposing views while both wanting to achieve the goal of peace is what makes them so interesting. Because of their differences in ideologies, they're forced to clash a lot. It's clear both of them care for one another, but at times, on Lelouch's end, he has his moments where he's eager to end Suzaku's life. When he finds out he's the one running the Lancelot, he doesn't lament the fact that he fought his friend, he laughs at this. I questioned why he seemed content with this, but my hypothesis is that he was so deep into his facade as Zero, that he wasn't thinking about this from a personal standpoint. Euphemia, Lelouch's little sister, visits Area 11 to escape the homeland, and eventually meets Suzaku, who she grows fond of and attached to. While ignorant to politics, she's a kind soul, who only wants the Japanese to be treated equally. She bands together with Suzaku, making him her knight. Yuffie proposes that they create a special zone, where the Japanese, can call themselves Japanese, can be treated as actual citizens, etc. Lelouch secretly begins to loathe her for this idea. Because if the zone were to be created, the Black Knights wouldn't need to exist. Therefore, severing his chances of destroying Britannia. This is another example of his selfishness, I fear, because why couldn't he at least be happy that the Japanese were being salvaged in some way? He develops extreme feelings towards Euphemia after this. Yuffie asks for his help anyway, not knowing he had ill intentions for their next meeting. The plan being to use his Gios power to manipulate her into shooting him, making her look bad, and gaining leverage over her. However, this doesn't work out because Euphemia denounced her name to the throne, so he'd gain nothing by doing this. After agreeing to her terms, he attempts to tell her about his Gios power, which results in him accidentally commanding her to kill the Japanese. I know, silly right? She ends up killing her fair share of Japanese people in the crowd of this meeting until Lelouch makes the decision to kill her. He hesitates before this, not knowing what to do, until an injured woman in the crowd grabs onto him, begging for his help, calling him their savior. He panics at these words, because he's never actually cared about them. So it was absurd to consider him a savior. Again showing how oblivious he is to his reputation, and lack of compassion. Suzaku is unfortunately too late in saving Euphemia after quickly rushing her to the hospital, and she ends up dying shortly after. This event causes Suzaku's morals to shift, his mission now being to kill Zero. Lelouch never shows any remorse for killing her in front of Suzaku. He even goes as far to use Suzaku killing his father as a gotcha moment, because he knows it hurts him. The lack of compassion for his only friend faded, and as their rivalry strengthens, a rift grows in their relationship. Where they attempt to kill each other multiple times until Suzaku finds out later on that he is Zero. A scene that also shows his true colors after his identity is revealed. Mind you, none of them know what truly happened that day, so as far as they know, Lelouch killed Yuffie for his own benefit. Colin is clearly hurt by this. She believed that he fought for the weak and wanted to free Japan, but all he did was use them. He rebuttals dismissively, stating that Japan will be free either way. Suzaku fails to kill him, but ends up taking him into custody, having the Emperor, his father, rewrite his memory completely. After that, he's just a normal high schooler. And that concludes Season 1. Right off the bat, the story does a good job of depicting systemic and racial oppression done through colonialism, and how classism is in place to divide the two races. The younger generation mirrors their parents by accepting their bigoted ideologies, and even weaponizing the use of drugs to disperse the Japanese people. The use of media, specifically the news, as a tool used to portray the Japanese as inhuman, their dead corpses dispersed through the ghetto and seen as a spectacle rather than an injustice. Zero represents a beam of hope for Japan, hope that one day they'll reclaim their country back and restore what was taken from them. Whether Lelouch liked it or not, he was their savior, and when they needed him most, he wasn't there. Which makes you question the morality of his character. He starts out blasé towards the mistreatment of the Japanese, but over time, his perspective broadens as he acknowledges in Season 2, this is bigger than just him, other people are affected by Britannia's tyranny. In my opinion, this is what made his character development so interesting. In Season 2, his goals reroute, and he now wants to make the world a better place, more so for his sister, but now he's genuinely thinking about others. Many fans feel that he became more evil in Season 2 because of how he treated Rollo, but I'd say it's the opposite. Rollo murdered one of his dear friends, and acted nonchalant about Nunnally's supposed death because he was envious of her for having Lelouch's attention. Which makes sense, given the fact that he's a child who's been used by the Order since he was born, but it doesn't excuse his violent behavior. Lelouch attempts to avenge Shirley by killing him, but he fails to. After Nunnally's supposed death, he lashes out at his team, and ignores their reluctancy to go anywhere near the blast point of Suzaku's flare. It takes Rollo to calm him down and bring his back their base. He later lashes out at Rollo after seeing the locket on his phone, that was supposed to be for her. He tells him he loathed him, he was just a tool he manipulated, and has been trying to kill him for a while now, but he just keeps missing the chance. To make a long story short, the Black Knights discover Lelouch's true identity, and turn on him. Colin protects him for the moment, and asks him what she means to him, because he's already admitted to using her once. In typical Lelouch fashion, when being backed into a corner, he puts on a facade, saying that she was merely a pawn in his game. As soon as she moves, the Black Knights draw their weapons, but then Rollo uses his Gios power to stop time, and flee with Lelouch. Soldiers shoot explosives at them as they fly away, but Rollo won't give up, even though Lelouch admits he has nothing left to live for now that his sister's dead. Rollo doesn't give up though, even though he knows if he uses his Gios too much he'll die. His mission is to save Lelouch. After they land, Rollo is on the verge of death. Lelouch questions why he saved him despite how poorly he treated him. He tells him that he's a liar, and that he saw right through his act. Keep in mind, he meant every word, but to give him closure in his final moments, he tells him only his brother could see through his farce, and he dies, putting Nunnally's locket in his hand. He then realizes that he does have a purpose, even with Nunnally gone, the world still needs to change, so he'll be the one to change it. Again, his character development shines a lot in this scene. Despite his genuine disdain for Rollo, he was shown the love Rollo bared for him, and gave him closure before his death. He didn't give up after Nunnally's death, but pushed through for the sake of others, something Season 1 Lelouch most likely wouldn't have done. Even to the end, he ends up killing his parents after finding out about their plan to start the Ragnarok connection, unlocking collective unconscious. His personal belief being that we as humans are flawed and shouldn't be restricted from said flaws. Our individuality is what makes us human. Which is the opposite of Charles' philosophy, believing that deceit should be wiped from the face of the earth. After dealing with his parents, C2 asks him and Suzaku what they plan to do now that the Emperor is gone. Suzaku spouts off about how Lelouch killed Euphemia, and again, Lelouch acts as though it's nothing. We cut from there, seeing the royal family and nobles waiting for the Emperor to make his appearance, just for Lelouch to pop out, Suzaku later taking out their guards. He claims the throne in his father's stead, and uses his Gios power to manipulate them into accepting him as Emperor. It's not in the story, but it's confirmed that Lelouch told Suzaku the truth about Euphemia off-screen, which is why he agreed to be his knight. I don't really like that they never show us this moment, I feel it would have hit better if we got a flashback. But anyway, when he claims the throne he tricks the world leaders into making them believe he wanted to dismantle the old aristocracy, and proceeds to back Kagaya into a corner, having no choice but to let Lelouch claim the throne. After defeating Schneasel, he proceeds to claim the world as his own, dropping one of the most iconic moments in anime. After capturing the Black Knights, and organizing a parade you'd only see in North Korea, Zero, or should I say Suzaku shows up, and assassinates Lelouch. Unbeknownst to us until after the fact, it was a part of their plan. Lelouch takes over the world, turning the world against him, dismantling the aristocracy, then have Suzaku kill him, freeing all the colonies and changing the viewpoint of the people of the world. Making them to come together. Creating the ideal world his sister wished for. In my opinion, this had to be the best anime endings I've had the pleasure of watching. Especially regarding Lelouch's character. He's always been ambitious, and yearning for change, but only for himself and his sister really. Many people in the fandom don't call out the language and battle choices he makes, which to me cheapens his character. He wasn't always a selfless heroine, and that's what makes him realistic. There's no human on the planet who hasn't made a self-serving decision, so I feel like we the audience should recognize character faults no matter how iconic the character may be. It's what makes his character feel human to an extent, it's to be expected given how the world of Code Geass is set also. He isn't the stereotypical white savior who has nothing but good intentions, there are layers to it. And before anyone starts, no, this isn't a hate post towards Lelouch. He's one of my favorite characters in the show, and I enjoyed watching it mostly because of his character growth. Well, that's all I have to say, what do you all think? Comment down below, bye.